Someone across the room yawns. You weren't tired a second ago? Now your jaw is loosening. Your eyes are watering. You're fighting it, and you're going to lose. There is no willpower strong enough to stop what happens next. You can clench your jaw. You can press your lips shut. You can even leave the room. None of it matters once the signal has already landed. You yawn too. It feels like nothing. A small, embarrassing reflex you forget the moment it passes. But the real answer is far stranger. That yawn just traveled through a circuit older than language, older than fire, older than your entire species. Think about how strange the mechanics of it actually are. Nobody taught you how to do this. No one sat you down as a child and explained the steps. Your mouth simply knows when to open. Your eyes simply know when to water. Your whole face simply knows how to perform an action you've never consciously decided to perform. It happens whether you're alone in a parked car or sitting across from your closest friend. And yet somehow it happens more easily, more readily in the presence of certain people than others. That detail alone should make you suspicious that something more complicated is going on under the surface. Yawning itself isn't unique to you. Fish yawn, birds yawn, dogs, cats, even reptiles do something close to it. The behavior stretches back hundreds of millions of years across the animal kingdom, which means the basic motion in your jaw right now connects you to creatures that existed long before anything resembling a human walked the earth. But that's not the part that should stop you. The part that should stop you is what happens next. The yawn spreading from a stranger's face to yours. That's a different, much stranger story. For decades, scientists couldn't agree on what a yawn was even for. Was it about oxygen, boredom, sleepiness? Psychologist Robert Provine spent years studying the behavior and found something almost comically simple. You don't need to be tired to yawn. You don't even need to see one happen. Reading the word yawn enough times can trigger it. Thinking about it can trigger it. Your brain doesn't require a real stimulus. It just needs the idea. That alone tells you something. This isn't really about fatigue. It's about contagion. Here's where it gets interesting. Researcher Andrew Gallup proposed a theory that reframed the entire conversation. Yawning, he argued, isn't primarily a tiredness signal at all. It's a brain cooling mechanism. When you yawn, you take in a deep rush of air and stretch your jaw wide, increasing blood flow to your face and neck. That blood flow acts like a radiator, pulling heat away from your skull. Gallup tested this in the most unglamorous way imaginable. He had people yawn in different temperatures and found something striking. In cold winter air, people yawned far more often than in summer heat. When the outside temperature climbed close to body temperature, yawning dropped off almost completely. Why? Because at that point, breathing in hot air can't cool anything down. There's no benefit left to chase. Other researchers extended this further, recording people on the street in winter compared to summer, in different countries, under different conditions, and kept finding the same pattern. Yawning seemed to live inside a kind of thermal window, a narrow band of outside temperature, where pulling in air could actually help regulate the brain. Step outside that window in either direction, too cold or too hot, and the urge to yawn quietly fades. It's almost mechanical in its precision, more like a thermostat clicking on and off than a mood or a feeling. Your brain, it turns out, runs hot, and yawning is one of the strange, ancient tools it uses to bring the temperature back down. So why does someone else's yawn make you do the exact same thing? That question used to puzzle researchers more than you'd expect. If yawning is mainly about cooling your own brain, why would watching another person's jaw stretch have anything to do with your temperature at all? You're not standing in their cold air. You're not sharing their blood flow. Logically, their yawn should mean nothing to your skull. And yet it clearly does mean something, because you can feel the pull happening in real time, whether you want it to or not. This is where yawning stops being about your skull and starts being about your species. Contagious yawning isn't universal across all animals. It shows up reliably in humans and in a smaller set of highly social creatures like chimpanzees and, intriguingly, domestic dogs. That detail matters more than it sounds. Contagious yawning doesn't track with brain size or sleep schedules. It tracks with social bonds. Researchers studying yawn contagion in humans found something almost too neat to be a coincidence. People were far more likely to catch a yawn from family members than from friends, more likely to catch it from friends than from acquaintances, and least likely of all to catch it from a total stranger. The closer the relationship, the stronger the contagion. Empathy, it seems, has a dial, and your yawning reflex is quietly reading it. Picture it concretely. You're sitting with your sibling, someone who has known your face since before you could speak, and they yawn. Your jaw responds almost instantly, like it was waiting for permission. Now picture the same scene with someone you met an hour ago at a conference, in an identical room, under identical lighting. The yawn happens right in front of you, and somehow your own body holds back. Nothing about the temperature changed. Nothing about your tiredness changed. The only variable that moved was how close you feel to the person doing it. Think about what that means. Your body is running a constant, invisible test of social closeness, and you never asked it to. Some scientists, including those who study empathy and emotional contagion, connect this to something called the simulation hypothesis. Watching someone yawn activates overlapping pathways in your brain, the same regions involved when you imagine performing the action yourself. You're not just observing another person's tiredness. In some small way, your brain is rehearsing it, modeling what it would feel like to be in their state. That mirroring may be one of the earliest, crudest building blocks of something much bigger, the ability to model another mind at all. Before language, before storytelling, before complex tools, there may have been this, a primitive form of stepping into someone else's experience just enough to feel an echo of it. Now picture an early human group, decades before written history, sitting close together as daylight faded. One person yawns. The detail is unremarkable, but the spread isn't. Within moments, the yawn moves through the group like a quiet wave, and something else moves with it, an unconscious synchronization of arousal, alertness, and rest. Some researchers have proposed that this kind of contagious signaling could have helped regulate group behavior, nudging a cluster of individuals toward winding down or staying alert together, rather than drifting in and out of readiness at random. There's a logic to that idea worth sitting with. A group that falls asleep at wildly different times or wakes at wildly different times loses some of the protection that comes from numbers. A predator doesn't need much of a gap to exploit. If a shared yawn nudges everyone toward the same rhythm of rest and alertness, even slightly, even imperfectly, that small synchronization could matter more than it sounds like it should. Not because anyone planned it, because evolution rarely needs a plan when a useful side effect will do. You don't know exactly how much of that ancient story is provable and how much is informed speculation built on solid physiology. Scientists themselves are still debating the social function, even while the brain-cooling mechanism behind individual yawns has more direct experimental support. But you do know this. Whatever its full purpose, contagious yawning is doing something most behaviors don't do. It's syncing you to the people around you without asking your permission. That should sound familiar, because you live inside that synchronization every single day. You yawn in a meeting and watch it ripple silently across the table. You yawn around your partner late at night and they yawn back within seconds. You've probably never once yawned around a stranger on a train and felt the slightest urge to apologize for it spreading to them, because some part of you senses that distance changes the rules. Try noticing it the next time you're with people you've known your whole life, a parent, a childhood friend, a sibling you've shared 1,000 ordinary nights with. Watch how quickly the yawn passes between you, almost before either of you registers what's happening. Then notice the opposite, the slight delay, the small resistance that shows up around someone newer, someone you're still building trust with. You're not imagining the difference. Your jaw has been quietly measuring it the entire time. None of this is something you're choosing. It's running underneath your awareness, the same way it ran underneath the awareness of every human who came before you, all the way back through a lineage that didn't yet have a word for empathy, let alone a reason to study it. Consider how much of your daily life is shaped by signals exactly like this one. Automatic, unspoken, completely outside your conscious control, yet somehow still telling the truth about how you feel. You can lie with your words, you can perform confidence you don't feel, or calm you don't have, but your jaw doesn't seem interested in your performance. It responds to whoever is sitting closest to your heart, not whoever you're trying hardest to impress. The yawn itself, the simple jaw-stretching, air-pulling motion, is almost unfathomably old. Older than mammals, possibly older than most things you could name. But the version that jumps from face to face, that quietly measures who you trust and who you love, that version is something closer to a signature of your particular kind of mind. A side effect of becoming a species built to read other minds in the first place. So the next time a yawn catches you off guard in the middle of a conversation, you don't have to feel embarrassed by it. You're not malfunctioning. You're not bored, necessarily, and you're not even necessarily tired. You're running one of the oldest, quietest tests your brain knows how to perform. A small automatic question your body keeps asking about everyone around you. How close am I really to you? Someone across the room yawns, and without meaning to, you just answered. If your brain has been doing this without telling you, imagine what else it's been doing quietly, your whole life. That's what this channel is for. New videos on the hidden science behind being human every week. Subscribe if you want to keep finding out what your body already knew.